Today, I want to quickly talk about my setup. A lot of people have been asking me about my mouthpiece, my reeds, my instruments, and a lot of thoughts about a combination of gear and the things that I like to do to enhance my sound. And I thought I'd start with the main thing here, my Sios signature mouthpiece, all right? A lot of people ask me, do you play Sios? Yes, I do, and this is precisely my signature mouthpiece, which we developed back in 2018, the Lorenzo Ferrero signature mouthpiece. And back at that time, I used to play a Jody Jazz DVNY 10 star, which I really liked. I played it for 10 years. I've always really liked that dark saxophone sound, like darker and rich and warm. I never really liked it to play excessively bright. So when Sios contacted me back at that time, I kind of was very skeptical because you looked at the colorful mouthpieces and things like that. So I wasn't sure, but then they sent me the mouthpiece. They actually asked me, Pauline, who's an amazing, she has a PhD in acoustics. She's the owner of Sios and the creator of Sios. And then she asked me, what do I want it in my sound? And it was pretty interesting because, before that, not many mouthpiece companies actually ask you about what sound you have in mind, to customize something for you. They usually, it's like, oh, this is what we have. So you like bright, here we go. You like dark. But they actually asked me, and I, with detail, gave them all the information, which then they sent me 3 mouthpieces. And from those 3, I really loved, this one actually. Now, this is just an enhanced one from a few years after, but they basically sent me this, which is my signature mouthpiece. What I wanted was really a dark, warm sound, but with power and a little bit of edge so that it can cut through, because I don't want it to get too focused and dark, right? But that's how we developed this mouthpiece, and this is the one I've been using. Right now I'm using it with a Boston Sax reed and a Silverstein ligature. Now, I've always liked the big tip openings, and that's another really important thing here. I use a 9 star, and before that, because I was one of George Garzon's students, I ended up using a 10 star. But it actually took me a lot of work initially, but Garzon played a 10 star and he was like, oh, here, I'm gonna order that mouthpiece. I really liked it because he saw I played the DVNY metal mouthpiece, and then he ended up giving it to me. And then when I was a student, back in 2011, and then he ended up giving it to me, and I've played it for a while. What was interesting is he got me used to put so much more air with the long tone techniques and playing really soft that I started really liking the big tip openings, and I think right now 9 star is kind of my magic number. So I use a 9 star with Sios signature mouthpiece here and a Boston Sax number 2. Now let's quickly talk about my saxophone here, and this is the saxophone I've been using since 2022 and the one I've been using for many recordings, including my upcoming album 2026, which is called Voyage, and that's exactly the horn I used and I've been using for many videos as well. So this is my beautiful Conn 10M. I actually got this one on eBay back in 2022. It's post-war. It actually doesn't have roll tone holes or anything, but it's just a gorgeous horn. I fixed it here in LA, and it has the underslug neck, as you can see, and you've seen this on many videos, and this is the one I've been using for a while. Before that, I actually used this Penella horn right here, which is not a very known brand, but I really liked it. And you can see here I'm using the Heritage neck from Boston Sax. So this used to be my setup before that, and it's really great. I love it. But honestly, this Conn 10M just has that huge, robust sound that I truly love. Now, you've probably seen on my latest video that I actually got a different Conn 10M, which is actually older, and that I took to Mexico. I did an entire overhaul. I actually bought the pads here, and it was in really bad state when I got it. And then now it plays amazing, but I actually left it in Mexico because I go there a lot, and I wanted to keep a horn there in my wife's house so that I can always go and not necessarily have to travel with my tenor. So I now travel with my alto, and I have that great horn over there. At some point I'm gonna probably bring it here. Honestly, between this one and the new one I got, both are great. I feel this might be a bit more robust, but the other one has some extra silkiness and just a very absolutely beautiful tender sound to it. So I don't know, you can hear it on the videos below and let me know the difference. Now let's talk for a minute about big tip openings, okay? Because it's a whole thing here that I would have never imagined I was gonna play a 10 star, or in this case a 9 star, but because I, was one of Garcon's students, he got me into that vibe because he uses a 10 star, I think, Jody Jazz HR, at least at the time I was studying with him, and then a number 4 hard reed. So it's a really, really tough setup. And he just plays his subtones insane. Like, it just sounds so full. And he got me used to just the whole concept of putting more air, playing soft, and getting a much rounder sound. Sort of like this. And the whole concept with the big tip opening is that it allows you to put more air on it. Now, a lot of people are very comfortable with it. I started getting comfortable with it because I loved how I could put more air, giving me more, almost like more back pressure and a little extra control here. So it's something, I just wanted to share that with some of you, because some of you might be thinking, should I go higher? Should I go lower? Initially, when you start playing the saxophone, there's a lot of like, playing 5 or 6 star or around those numbers, and I feel like actually it sets a lot of people back. They never try a bigger tip opening. They never do. So then it's like something holds them back. And some people are actually going to be more comfortable with a bigger tip opening because we all have an internal embouchure that is different. In my case, I have an overbite, right? So I think that's why I genuinely like bigger tip openings, because if not, like, my sound gets thin super fast as soon as I play a 7, or something like that, or less. Then with this one, it allows me to really push through. I think it's important to at some point try a bigger tip opening, and then if it's not for you, go back like I did. 10 star was too much. I went back to 9 star, and honestly I love 8 star as well, so kind of going between those numbers. Now let's quickly talk a little bit about the setup I use to record, especially when I want to record my tenor and get a nice silky sound for recording sessions and for videos. Now I'll make another video where I'm going to talk really in depth about my recording process, but I just wanted to show you a few things of what I use and a few thoughts. So I actually use this Rode NTR. It's an active ribbon mic, so it actually does use phantom power. I've been using it for many, many years. I really love it. It just gets this really, really round and fat sound. Not too crisp, but you can add the crispiness later, if you want it on EQ. Then over here, I use my Apollo Twin. Then, of course, the coffee. Now, all of this combined allows me to really get that thick, round sound when I record. So let's get into the actual settings I use on Logic. Now, this is going to be very quick. I'll make another video more specifically about this. And this is a session I had already from a while back. It's The Nearness of You. And I'm actually, have a bunch of tracks in there. But here's what I recorded right now, right? And you're going to hear this in a second. But here's completely dry. Now, what I love about especially this mic is that it just captures this middle range, and it's just very round and full. Now, you might hear it misses sometimes crispiness, which you might need if you're playing like funky or something like that you can EQ it. Now, for this kind of stuff, I don't EQ anything. Like, I don't need it. I love the sound of it. Sometimes just with a little reverb, For example, what I might do, if I would just maybe grab a vintage EQ collection, nothing too complicated. And maybe if I wanted this to sound a little more crisp, see, like I can grab a lead, like put the high end a little more, the mid. Now you can also use a channel EQ and be very specific, but in this case I don't want to do, honestly I'm not going to use anything. I'm going to just turn it off. I just want you to hear the sound as it is. And what I'll do now is, of course, I'm going to put some reverb. The way I do the reverb here is I'm going to buzz it, right, so that you see it. Like, I'm going to put that buzz somewhere else, and then I'm going to put my lexicon here, which is the one I really love, and I have it there. Now for this one, it's a ballad, and I'm gonna probably use medium chamber, medium halls, and then I really like medium rich hall here. I'll leave it like that because the preset is pretty good, and what I'll do is I'll just turn it from the bus. That's good enough for me. Like, the sound is lovely. Like, I don't, maybe if it's a more professional recording where it's for an album, I might have to, like, maybe some EQ and things like that, right? But that's it. Let's just keep it as it is and hear it with the reverb and with my track. Now I'll probably pan it a little bit right to the left. That's pretty much it, guys. I mean, a lot of things that I might do in later, especially if I have like sax solos, a bunch of saxophones, I might play around with 2 or 3 different reverbs and EQs and things like that. So I'll do another video where I'm talking about that. But I just wanted to see, for you to see how I grab my setup, my mouthpiece, my horn, and then I sit down and record here with my microphone. A lot of the videos you see are literally happening this way, So anyway, let me know if you have any questions about the setup. Okay, so you were hearing that literally just from my speakers, but now let's hear that solo from when I actually recorded it with all of these post-productions, with the, the reverb and the panning and everything. And this is how it ultimately sounds with my tenor setup and my recording setup. Here it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. Now let me know in the comments if you have any questions about specifically tenor saxophone or my setup or anything else. Now I'll make other videos where I want to talk more specifically about my styles mouthpieces, my Conn saxophones, and then another one where I'm going to be really showing you my actual recording setup. This was just for you to kind of get my mic and what I use and my routing, but I'm going to make more videos about that. Now let me know in the comments, and thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and see you next week.